John Ed Mathison, and thank you for joining us for this second session with two great people on go-getters and go-givers. And I'm so excited to be a part of this because a big part of my life for 2 years was at Huntingdon. And Huntingdon made such an impact on my life in such a great way. We didn't have the beautiful girls, I don't think, like you have there now. But you're just so vivacious, Linley, and the enthusiasm, you just have an invitational look about life and about my dad used to say, some people cause happiness wherever they go, others whenever they go.
Well, John Ed, she's our reigning Miss Huntingdon, and I can tell you that when we had the Miss Huntingdon program last spring, there wasn't much of a question to me as to who was going to be the next Miss Huntingdon. My question was going to be who's going to be the first runner-up. So she was a natural selection and doing a wonderful job representing our college.
That is what. Now, refresh my memory. Where do you go to church?
Fraser Church.
Okay, I just wanted you to know, President Leigh, that you went here. That's the real reason. One thing that people always wonder is about our faith, and it's just such a strong, good atmosphere at Huntingdon, and how God just opens up so many doors. Maybe you'd like to just share personally how you came to faith, and it might be helpful to a lot of folks who are asking questions and struggling there.
Sure. Well, I was born into a faith family. My parents raised me to be in church. My mother is a very devout Catholic woman. My father is a very active Methodist, and they both come from families that are very convicted in their faith. John Ed, my great-great-grandfather, Amos Milton Johnston, on my grandmother's side, was a Methodist circuit rider.
You might have
known him.
I might have been with him there.
A couple of weeks ago, I had the holy occasion to visit the Possum Trot Cemetery in Bankston, Alabama, and I was able to see his tombstone for the first time ever. And I was there on July the 7th, and it was 97 years to the date of his death.
Wow.
In 1928. And so on my father's side of the family, just a whole line of faithful believers who love Jesus, have loved God, have served the local church. So it was a natural for me being raised in a home of people of faith. And so I became a Christian at a very early age and went to a Methodist college and found myself constantly looking for ways to involve myself in faith community since I graduated from high school and went off to college, and since I've moved to Montgomery.
Right. And let me tell you, I've called your number a couple of times. Who works for you? Who is your administrative?
I got a great.
In what church? Did some church train her?
Yeah,
maybe?
there's her name is Maggie Bridges. She grew up in this church.
Her whole family.
Her mama Jane served as a key member of the administrative staff here for many years, and Jane and Gary are both Huntingdon graduates.
That's right.
And Maggie's sister Claire is
when you got a Fraser background and a Huntingdon graduate, you got winners right
That's
there.
right.
Power
That's right.
team.
Now there's some exceptions, but for the most part, but that's it. Well, thank you.
Well, they're both institutions that are connected to so many people. And it's hard to be in Montgomery, and certainly the further you get out from Montgomery, to find somebody that doesn't have some connection to both Fraser or Huntingdon. And many of them have a connection to both. And I travel around a lot, going to visit other parts of our state and surrounding areas. And
You've been on a tour. You've been to just about every... I never had heard of some of the towns you've been to in recent Sundays.
Yeah, I've been to 33 churches since July 1st of last year. Wow. I've now visited 29 counties in the state of Alabama as president of Huntingdon. And it's so interesting that when I go places, I run into people who tell me that they attended Fraser when they were a Huntingdon student.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And Fraser's always had a very active college program, and it's just been an outreach. I'm speaking at an anniversary of a marvelous, wonderful African-American pastor at a great church. And he told me, he said, when I came to AUM to play baseball, I came to Fraser, and that changed my life. and now he's in the ministry. And I'm going to have the privilege of, so, the outreach goes in so many, many ways. And I know, didn't you tell me that we used to do some drama? I know you were engaged in that growing up right here in this very studio in which we're in now.
Yes, sir. We had a TV station, and we had certain topics that talked about faith and how to grow. We quoted Bible verses. It was a very interesting time in my life doing it with my friends who were from all different churches in the Montgomery area. Just, I don't know. It was a really cool time in my life of being able to be on a TV show and watch it. And I went to Eastwood Christian School for most years of my high school life. And my Spanish teacher, one day she came into class and she said, "Linley, my son saw you on the TV last night." I was like, "Ma'am, what?" She was like, "Yeah, he was just scrolling on YouTube and we were looking for something Christian related that would be safe, that'd be okay for him to watch. And he was watching one of the episodes that I was in, and I hadn't thought about it in so long, but my best friend who goes to church here was recently in the Forum program. We'll still talk about it and watch clips from it because it was a fun time.
President Leigh, that we had a TV station, which was a vision that came, and we were able to do, but those programs were written by people, many of them Huntingdon graduates here at Fraser, written, and then the kids and all the actors, the production, and everything. We had our own television program. Well, now, I know some people interested in sports. I'm relatively. So, in fact, I had the privilege of playing on the first basketball team at Huntingdon, and I was invited. This was amazing. I was invited by the athletic director. Can you come speak to all of our athletes? Back first of the year, a couple of years ago. And so I just curiously said, "Well, where do you meet?" And I said, "Well, we meet in Flowers Hall, and we'll have others." I said, "That many come? How many do you expect?" He said, "Well, we'll have about 600 of them." I said, "Athletes?" All I knew was a basketball team,
Right.
10 guys way back.
Right.
And that he said that, and you helped me with this, but I know you got, 21?
23
Well,
sports teams.
I'm always,
We're growing.
but I'm always underestimating
Right.
that. 23 different athletic teams, and what percentage of the student body participates in some specific sport?
So about 70% of our students participate in one of our 23 teams. And then we have another 10% of our student body is involved in our marching band, another 35 students that are on our cheerleading squad. Another 10% of our student body is plugged into our Presidential Scholars Program.
Whoop, whoop.
Or our Kingswood Initiative. So about 95% of our students are plugged into one of those signature participatory opportunities of the college.
No, wait a minute. Say that again. People are going. It's not me saying it. Some folks say I'll estimate 40 how, but
95.
Specifically,
Yeah.
95% of the students
are plugged into one of our signature participatory opportunities, with about 70% of them playing one of our 23 sports. There's two things that our students have in common, John Ed. One is they come to get a great pre-professional education because they want to go on and to have a life of success as a professional. I'm looking at somebody here that wants to go to vet school.
Yes.
And two, they want to come and to be fully involved in the life of their college. And we have all of these participatory ways that students can get immediately plugged in to find their people, to build those soft skills in their resume, to have some leadership opportunities. And I will put the resume of any single Huntingdon student up against a graduate of another school because they've gotten both the great education and they've had the opportunity to be fully involved in the life of the college, to be mentored by coaches and professors, to have leadership roles on their teams and in their cohorts. And there's not many students who walk across commencement stage that I and the other members of the administration say, who in the world is that? Because our students are just involved in everything that we do at the institution.
And let me just say, I love sports, and I think it's such a vital part. I learned more from my coaches and sports than I think I did from some teachers in some areas. But sports is so very, very important and how engaged you can be. For example, you have lacrosse.
Men's and women's.
I can't even spell lacrosse. But I was told that maybe 30 different states had people to come.
It's really interesting, especially in those early years. There's not many high schools in the state of Alabama that sponsor a lacrosse team. The last time I checked, there was only 8 high schools in Alabama that have a lacrosse team. But we had a young man named Jacob Works who came to Huntingdon to be a part of our second lacrosse team in 2011. He came from Lincoln, Nebraska. And Jacob came and he had a wonderful freshman year. And the summer after his freshman year, he went back to Nebraska and he worked a number of lacrosse camps. And we have developed this neat little pipeline of students coming to Huntingdon from Nebraska to play lacrosse because Jacob had a great experience, and then 2 come the next year and they go home and tell people. Maryland has become a great little sweet spot for us to recruit.
I've spoken in places over on the East Coast, and people are talking about Huntingdon and about lacrosse, and that is really, really big.
Well, you met Taylor Day's grandmother in North Carolina.
That's right.
And he ended up coming to Huntingdon and graduated, and now he lives in South Florida and just had his second child.
And just, you know, there's an old thing in church: if you find a need, meet it. And you're doing that better than any college I know. Just to have that kind of opportunity for people.
Well, Huntingdon is the only NCAA Division III athletic program in the state of Alabama, and there's not a Division III program in the state of Florida. And with all of the complexity going on right now with the NCAA and the transfer portal and the lawsuits, Division III has really become kind of the gold standard of amateur athletics. It's a lot of young men and women who want to get a great education. They're maybe not quite good enough, fast enough, tall enough to get opportunities to play at the Division I or Division II level, but they're not ready to retire their sneakers, and they want to be a part of a collegiate basketball team. And I celebrate for every single one of our student athletes that while they may have grown up dreaming of playing for the school in Tuscaloosa or Lee County, they're part of the less than 1% of Americans who can lay claim to being a college athlete. Mm-hmm. And they get that team building experience. They have the memories of bus rides. And for 5 of our teams last year, they had such a successful season that they advanced all the way to the NCAA tournament. And you can't
give us a little rundown on just because it's highly successful.
Sure. Well, our men's basketball team had its first winning season in 19 years. We brought in a new coach 2 years ago, and he has done a tremendous job. Team went 21-7 this past year and won the conference championship and advanced to the NCAA Division III basketball tournament for the first time ever. Our baseball team won the conference championship and got to go out to Texas for a regional, and they upset Millsaps in the second round. Our softball team went 38-7 and hosted a regional tournament for the second straight year. Our men's golf team is probably our most storied team. They have 6 national championships in the trophy case, and they went to the national tournament this year and finished 6th. And our women's golf team won the conference championship for the first time in school history this year and got to go to the NCAA tournament, and they finished 8th in the country. And you know, for those student athletes, such a thrilling end to a season, but for all of us who love the college and are supportive of them, it created so much momentum and excitement for the whole campus community.
That's right. And let me just ask you set a record for the first flag ladies football game in the state of Alabama.
That's right.
Huntingdon played a Division I school.
That's right.
And beat them badly.
42-0.
Or good. Now I tell you, now you talk about the women. I tell you, you got some athletes there.
Well, you know, we have to say, yes, the athletes and the students are amazing, but also the faculty. President Leigh tries his hardest to be at every single game. He runs around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to be partially at this game, and then he'll run over to that one. And he's also just always traveling, that's for sure. But the faculty there is amazing. They know you by name. So many teachers walk down the sidewalk and go, "Hey, Linley," and it means the world to know that they know me and not just my name, but about my life. I go to my advisor's office all the time and we talk, and he, wants to hear the good and the bad, but he also wants to hear about my life, not just how's school going, what do the grades look like. He wants to know, well, how are you doing as you? Like, how's your family? How's everything going? And I think, President Leigh has set a high standard, and not a high as a stressful, but a high as a good one that pushes people to be better.
Well, it might be evident, but I am so proud to be a graduate of Huntingdon College, and I'm so proud of what Huntingdon is doing under your leadership of you two people, and what you're doing in such a great way. All I see is Holcomb everywhere.
That's right.
And that's really
Double Holcomb.
Just really super good. I want to thank you all. Now, we're going to close in just a moment. But if somebody wanted to find out about Huntingdon, now I went before they had cybersecurity classes and all that. So tell people how they can find out about Huntingdon.
Sure.
And to enroll and what
Sure.
they might want to know.
Well, www.huntingdon.edu is the website of the college.
Slow that down a little bit.
www.huntingdon, HUNTINGDON.edu. Free application for anyone that wants to apply. All of the information about our academic programs and scholarships is available online. You can also go to huntingdonhawks.com and get schedules of all 23 of our sports teams. It's a fun, family-friendly opportunity to come out and show your support for the hometown school.
I started writing that down, and I didn't have room on my calendar for all the different events. But, it's an academic excellence, athletic excellence, Christian faith excellent. I mean, your leadership, and everything's about leadership, Anthony.
Thank
and
you.
I'm just so proud that you're there and that you are doing that.
Appreciate you mentoring me.
Good. And I just, the greatest privilege I had was to write a letter recommending you with that, and some other guy, I don't remember his name, that carried a lot of weight more than I did. But I was the first male president of student body. He was the second male president.
That's right. I think his name is Jeff Sessions.
And I told Jeff Sessions, I said, that's the only thing I've ever been ahead of you in, and you'll never catch me on that. But thank you for joining us, and thank you so much for this. And pray for Huntingdon. If you've got questions, you know who to write. Maybe you want to encourage some young person to go and be a part of it. But pray for this school. And thank you so much for watching this podcast.